led to being into the financial industry when I was 19 years old, which may sound really cool, but I was just a product peddler. I sold life insurance, I sold mutual funds, and my job was just to bring warm bodies into the firm so that they could sell them something while I sat there and so-called learned, but that got me my start.
So you say you were a product peddler,
Yeah.
but that's kind of masquerades as a
I said I was a financial planner.
Okay.
I said that. I was too embarrassed to admit I was a life insurance salesman at the time. My tie wasn't short enough, my belly wasn't big enough in my mind. I mean, I wanted to sound really cool, and the first 2 years was 98 and 99. I was a genius. I was a financial Einstein in my community because they're cashing out double E bonds and putting it in mutual funds, and everybody made money in those 2 years. And so they're like, wow, this is great. Until 2000 came around and that started to change, and that's when I began to ask questions. And that's where I got rid of kind of these cliches that indoctrinated my mind, like it takes money to make money, or you're in it for the long haul, or the market's on sale, now's a good time to buy. Well, it was a bad time to buy when most people bought. You know, there's so many memes or kind of philosophies or myths that so many people still adopt because they just don't know any better. It's just what they're trained, taught, and educated to do, and it's unquestioned, even though there's been a massive failure rate, and we've watched this great financial experiment absolutely be decimated, yet people are still taking part in the experiment of buying and holding, setting money aside, hoping that it works out, budgeting to the point where they stop producing value because they're in a restrictive mindset, buying into scarcity, thinking that anyone that's wealthy has done something wrong. I mean, there's so many misnomers that lead people astray, and I think it comes from perspective first, because our perspective determines our action. And if people are in a perspective of scarcity, that there's not enough, and look, let's face it, there's times where when you look at people's environment, where they're born in a third world country, they're just trying to struggle to get food. They're trying to deal with crazy diseases like maybe ringworm or issues that are coming up. Man, that's all they're trying to do is survive. But there's other people that aren't under that same survival circumstance, but their mentality doesn't change. And because they're in survival, it becomes a selfish state of existence. That selfish state of existence is, what can I do for me? Neglecting the thought of what can I do for others, and because of that, they stay stuck, they stay poor, or maybe middle class at best, with Herculean effort to say, if I have the right work ethic or I work hard enough, I'll be better off. Hard work with the wrong philosophy still equals bankruptcy.
So based on what you're saying and you know, kind of as you're portraying all this, do we have, especially in North America right now, do we have a crisis as far as people moving toward retirement?
Oh, retirement, first of all, it's time to redefine it. If we think about retirement, it means to take out of service. And the notion came up from the industrial age where people were working tirelessly, they're dying early because they've worked themselves to death, literally. And now we're thinking, oh, let's retire. And retirement age is 65, and now people are living 30 years past 65 instead of dying at age 60. And now they're supposed to live off their investments and Social Security and other programs like that. While they still have the ability to produce, they're not producing anymore, and they actually start to tax society. And even worse, the number one fear of a retiree is the fear of running out of money, according to USA Today.
Right.
So think about this. There's this dream sold to them. One day, someday, you can finally go on these trips. You can finally live the life you've always dreamed of. You could spend time with family. You know, let's dream big about it. And the planners get them thinking about that. Then they're told, yeah, just set your money aside, scrimp, pinch pennies till you get blisters on your fingers, not knowing that no one shrinks their way to wealth, but they just hand the money over to people they've never met. Because even the fund manager is more a different person than the product peddler, right? With stocks that they don't even know what those stocks are, what's happening in those boardrooms, the fees that are coming out of that, why they would make money, why they would lose money. They just kind of go through that process in hopes that one day it's going to work out. Yet 98% of them, when they turn 65, they're not economically independent. Meaning if they stop working, they don't have enough income coming in from all of their investments and Social Security or whatever programs are out there to cover their basic expenses. So now what do? Especially if they were looking forward to stopping at age 65, they stopped building skills. They stopped moving forward in a growing way. They thought maybe college was their only way to grow. And then afterwards, it's just get a job and work hard, and then one day you'll have a pension that takes care of you. We've watched pensions collapse, partially because they were supposed to earn 8% a year, because we've been taught that the stock market's going to earn 8% a year since the year 2000 BC. But the reality is it hasn't done that. And when it doesn't do that, just 1% makes an exponential difference. And all of a sudden, they thought they were heading to one destination. They're not even close to that. But at the same time, they're ill-equipped, ill-prepared, and unfortunately, they haven't been trained on how to produce more cash flow, how to expand their means to be more productive. They're not thinking in the world of value creation if they're in the retirement mindset. They're thinking in the thought process of preservation when they get there. And all that it was supposed to be, it's not. But now they're in a scary world, and it's a really difficult time because it's taxing the system.
So here's kind of the ultimate irony here. It seems like a huge contradiction. The big unknown is, when am I going to die?
Right.
Nobody knows that. I mean, and that's kind of like you're trying to calibrate to this unknown, which is a major variable in this equation.
Completely.
So I'm hearing what you're saying now, and I'm starting to add it up in my own mind. Wait a minute, I'm going to retire at a certain age, and then I want to have a certain lifestyle beyond that retirement to last me the rest of my life, but we don't know what the rest of your life is, so how do you calibrate to that? So suddenly there's people who are trying to act morally, meaning, hey, I'm doing the right thing. I'm putting away the money as I'm told to do.
Right.
I'm putting it
It's not
into
lack
the
of effort.
places. Yeah, I'm actually one of these people who actually isn't being a mindless, consumer that just throws caution to the wind. I'm putting the structure in place. I'm delaying gratification because I'm going to do the right thing. But it's all based on a pack of lies.
This is the contradiction at the heart of the matter. Everyone's hearing about this term, this phrase, financial freedom.
Right.
What is financial freedom? My definition of financial freedom is when money is not the primary reason or excuse why we do or don't do something. It's still a consideration, but not the primary consideration. When it's someone's primary consideration, they destroy all opportunity. You say, hey, would you like to do this? I can't afford it. That's the mantra. I don't have the time. I can't afford it. They're almost kind of cousins. But there's no freedom in that. And yet we think that if there's a certain amount of money in a bank account, that's going to create freedom. That doesn't create freedom, because there's people with a lot of money that are just afraid that they're going to lose that money.